Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 39 of the MultiDimensional MD. I'm your host, Dr. Arlene Diamco, and my mission is to help bring spirit back to medicine because it was never meant to be separated in the first place. Today, I'm going to talk about 11 mindset shifts that facilitate healing. These are things that I commonly notice in my practice, or it's the areas that people get stuck in, like they're just like feel like little roadblocks in their thinking and their patterns. And if they could somehow shift their perspective and look at things differently, you're able to just elevate your frequency, your vibration instantly. So we're going to go through this one by one, and I'm just going to say a little bit about each one because every single one is so powerful, and you just need a little bit of momentum to get yourself out of a rut. So it does take a little bit of energy in the beginning when your pattern is always going one direction. To be able to shift gears, you do have to have some sort of like conscious intention that you want to, and just to, we're going to go through that. So number one is, I can't do this. I can't do this. And how can we just shift that phrase from I can't do this to one that is more, that helps us, is more beneficial to us? It's simply shifting that to I can't do this to I can learn and grow. Because we ask kids to do this every single day. And even little babies and toddlers, from learning how to feed themselves, to learning how to walk, to learning how to ride a bike, to learning how to read and write and spell, we ask them to do so many things that are actually pretty new and can be seemingly complicated. But then at some point, it's like we figure we can't learn new things, so we can get kind of down on ourselves. Or sometimes kids can get that way too. So if you notice that in your kid or in yourself, you want to flip it around. It's not about you can or cannot do it. It's whether it's looking at it as a learning opportunity, and everything you can learn from, everything you can grow from. Number two, other people are better at this than me. You can so easily shift that to, if other people can do it, so can I. There's that bit of comparison. That is okay. That's the ego mind. We are built to compare. We are born to compare. Helps keep us safe, helps keep us in this box of the known. And in order to get out of that, it feels a bit vulnerable. So it takes some conscious effort to shift from comparing yourself to other people to, if you see someone doing something that you like, or say they have something that you like, instead of being jealous, it's using that as a source of inspiration. And then you can't really fight the jealousy sometimes. Like if that happens, don't beat yourself up about it, because sometimes you really just can't help how you feel. Instead, you soften into it. So instead of trying to stuff it, like stuff it way down into your shoe or hide it into some area of your body, which is going to create some tension that's going to come back bigger later on, it's just to sit with it and look at it and say, okay, yeah, that's a normal human emotion. That's okay. And that's okay that I feel that way. You don't have to act on it, but it's just when you soften and accept yourself despite feeling something that you don't feel is like a good way to feel, then you surround yourself with this support of love and acceptance, and that softens it so that can process on its own. And slowly just kind of breathing through it, you can shift it. Instead of hiding from yourself, which creates a lot of tension and a tug of war, you just see it as it is. It's like, okay, yeah, that happened. And then be able to like consciously shift it and see that, well, yeah, maybe that kind of triggers me and makes me feel jealous, but I also see that looking at what other people can do is a source of inspiration for me. And then you can see that inspiration is really can be anywhere and everywhere. And there's no need to compare ourselves truly to anyone else, because there's no one else like you. There's no one else exactly in your situation. So you're never really going to be comparing exactly the same thing. So instead, it's inspiration. Number 3, I don't believe in miracles. Well, that's okay, because miracles are around whether or not you believe in them. And I see miracles every day. And that is such a simple shift. I was looking through my phone and the videos, and I found this one video from years ago, and it was of these ants, and they were carrying this object that was so ginormous compared to their body size. And really, one little ant was doing most of the work, and all the other ones were trying to help him out. And to me, when I looked at that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. How can the ant do that? Like, that's a miracle. And a miracle is simply something that you don't understand completely yet. So if you start to look around, there's a lot of things that are pretty amazing that you don't understand completely. So those, in a way, are miracles, even from just the sun rising every day to having this air we can breathe, to seeing all the sprouts come up in the spring and the flowers and the birds chirping. There are little miracles around all over. I mean, how does a bird take flight? I know, maybe some people know more about that than others, but to me, that's a miracle. So open your eyes, start to see things differently, and just like that, instantly, you raise your vibration and you completely shift your perspective, and it changes your day. So imagine doing that every single day. Your life will change. It just takes these small steps. You could take any one of these phrases and use that shift in perspective and see what it does for you. Number 4, I'm afraid. So it's okay to be afraid, because you can have courage in the face of fear. That to me is a deeper kind of courage, because you're recognizing how you feel, you're recognizing yourself, you're not trying to hide from yourself. So you're seeing all of it, you're recognizing all of your experience, that something scares you, but you're willing to go through it anyway, because so much of what our heart's desires are, or what we want to do in our lives, are on the other side of that fear of just getting started, of the courage to face that. And I mean, you think about it like a more whole experience, whether you're afraid of uncomfortable feelings or just afraid of doing something new in your life. It's a more whole experience if you can embrace those seemingly opposites of fear and courage. And I think about that movie Inside Out, where that's really what they figure it out in the end, that you can be a whole complex of emotions, of feelings, of thoughts, and they seem different, but that makes you more whole when you recognize that you are multi-layered, that you're multi-dimensional. Number 5, I'm so in my head. You feel like you can't get out of your head, but you can use that cognition, the thinking, that need to analyze things, to really think and think. You can use that awareness to get to know your body. So your mind just needs a little bit of direction. You say you love to think, which most people just love to think. They tend to overthink things, and that's when you get so much in your head. That's okay. So you can just direct that thought and use it to have more awareness of your body. It's like you're throwing your thoughts a bone. You just need to give it a job to think about something. And so to start to think about your body in a more curious way. So say, my shoulders feel really tense right now. Then it doesn't have to be like, they feel tense. It's like, okay, just to be curious about that. It's like, I got this weight on my shoulders. I wonder what that is. It's like, oh, well, of course, I'm carrying so much weight in my life. Okay, so then it's like, how can I shift things for my body, for my life, so that my shoulders can feel lighter? Or, how can I incorporate even some like physical movements where so I can lighten some of this tension? So yeah, it's okay to be in your head. You can use that ability to open your awareness to your body and see you're getting them to be friends. So instead of being like on different pages, they start to take an interest on the same thing, which is you. They're all interested in you. It is you. Number 6, I don't know how to feel my body. Well, yeah, that's okay. I've been there. It's simply by just starting to recognize that you can just start by feeling your breath. Just like I was talking about the last one, it's like use your awareness, go to your breath. And if all you did was pay attention to your breathing with a gentle focus, you don't want to be like tunnel vision about it because that creates tension and a tug of war, but just like expand your peripheral vision and bring your awareness to your breath. And in doing that, you can start to feel your body bit by bit. So if it just starts with your breath, that is enough. That is more than enough. If you did that consistently every day, then it would transform things for you. Even if you just took 10 breaths, because you're like, I don't have time for this. Okay, well, just take a few breaths. Maybe you remember when you're feeling kind of like riled up or anxious, just like, oh yeah, listen to my breathing. Okay, for 10 breaths, I will listen to my breathing without any judgment. It's okay if it feels shallow, if it's okay if there's any tension in it. Just notice, and that is a gift to yourself to bring that awareness to your breath. And if you did that, you could really start to run with it. Number 7, I don't like to feel uncomfortable. Well, no one says you have to like it. I mean, that would be strange, right? I don't like to feel uncomfortable either. But I love myself no matter what I feel. I love myself no matter what I feel. So it makes it okay for me to feel uncomfortable because it's my experience. And because I love myself, I allow myself to go through this experience. So I don't have to numb out and bury it and it become like some sort of symptom in my body. So having that bigger perspective of loving yourself, then it helps my mind to be willing to go through things that are uncomfortable because it's my authentic experience, whether it's a physical discomfort or it's emotional discomfort. And to me, they're, of course, intertwined. It's really hard to tease those apart. And yeah, that grander perspective. I love myself, so therefore I'm willing to allow it somehow. And that might sound strange because maybe on the flip side you think, no, I love myself, so I don't want to go through that. But see, it's you can't ever avoid yourself. You can't ever avoid your authentic experience. So when you do that, it's really just stuffing it instead of avoiding the experience of it. So it has to process somehow. And the more you can allow, the faster it can process, but very gently, with kindness to yourself in a way where you don't overwhelm yourself. So be nice. Number 8, I'm all alone. The thing is, yes, you can feel alone, but I can ask for help anytime, especially in times of need. If you practice when you don't feel like you really need it, then it helps to strengthen that that ability to know that you can ask at any time. And this is whether you ask in spirit or you ask another person to help you. I remember so many times when I was growing up and even in my adulthood where I felt lonely and alone, like I didn't have my tribe, or I didn't feel understood, like I was the only one going through what I was going through. Well, you know, in a way that's true. You are ever the only one going through it in that unique way. But at the same time, there's also many people going through what you're going through. So you're alone, but you're not alone. And I remember someone said to me once, you know, it's part of your life path. She's like, I can't heal it because it's part of your life path. This, I'm just right now, I'm speaking specifically about my personal experience, that you're supposed to learn how to be alone and not lonely. And as soon as they told me that, then just like that, the feeling of loneliness completely dissipated, because I was like, oh, it's part of my life path. It's part of my journey that I need to be able to be alone and not lonely. And when I started to go into that deeper, there are a few things I realized. One, show up for me. If I show up for me, I'm not alone. I might not have anyone physically around me, but I'm not alone. And even if people don't see things the way I see them, I show up for myself. And that is already huge in itself. So it's like showing up for yourself, having the confidence to stand up and be like, yeah, that's me. And I'm okay if I'm the only one that thinks that, because my gift of presence to myself is already enough. The second part of that is that you, even if you're physically alone, you can go out in other dimensions into spirit, and there you're never alone, in a very loving, supportive way. So you can ask whatever you believe in, God, the universe, the oneness, that unity, angels, guides, loved ones that have crossed over. So whatever feels good to you and comfortable to you, ask for help anytime. And the more consistently you ask for help, the more you'll receive it, because you're allowing yourself to receive help. So remember that, not just in times of need, but in regular times too, because then you get the practice of it and you feel more secure and trust in that process. And then the third part of that was like, so showing up for myself, that's not being lonely, going into spirit, asking for help in spirit, again, alone but not lonely. And third, of course, you can have the confidence and the self-love to ask other people for help when you need it, and to let them know specifically what you need, because sometimes we would prefer people be mind readers and just provide us with what we need without us telling them, but it doesn't really work so well that way. So be clear, and be clear to other people so they can help you, and in a way that's a win-win for all. Number 9, if only, there's so many if onlys, right? But it's like taking you out of the present moment, and if only this, then that. But it's no, by loving myself just as I am, I can do anything. Loving yourself just as you are. So despite all of this, it's like seeing it also differently. Despite all these areas that I feel stuck, I still can see the miracles, instead of the other way around of like, well, even though all these amazing things happened, I'm still stuck in all these areas. You see, it's just like flipping it around. It's like you're seeing the amazingness, the miracles, and you're seeing yourself more fully too. So loving yourself just as you are in that state, you can do anything. And those if onlys can, gosh, it's like whether there's so many in life, right? So you're given infinite opportunities at every single moment. So each moment you get to choose a path, and it's from tiny things, from like, do I get up right this second or 5 minutes later? And each moment creates another moment of opportunities, of infinite opportunities. And it can be, what am I going to eat for lunch today? Do I walk this way or that way? Do do I go over here and pick up these things first, or do I move this way? I mean, these are the tiniest, minuscule things, but then you start to see like every moment in life is filled with infinite possibility. So it's so much easier to see it on that tiny scale. And you can see like you're basically like carving out your life with infinite possibilities. You just keep going from moment to moment of these infinite possibilities. And I think that's so amazing, because then you start to let go of the if onlys, because you realize, oh, every moment is an infinite possibility. And you start to let go of any regrets of, if only I did this, if only I acted this way, if only I chose this. And then because you know that, oh, it doesn't matter if I chose that in that moment, because the next moment is filled with infinite possibilities. So it doesn't mean that you really lost it. It would just sort of, well, you decided to go this way in your life and this way in your life. It's different, but not a loss in a way. I mean, you could think of it always as losing things, but more I like to think of it as like, no, you just move from one infinite possibility to another infinite possibility. Never a loss. So you can, just like that, drop all of those if onlys. Number 10, I don't want to mess up. Well, yes, if we keep saying that, I don't want to mess up, and then don't do things because of that, by default, we're stuck. We don't move. We don't have any momentum. And I understand that because, yes, I've had so many moments in my life where I've been a perfectionist, and it's like my feet were in the mud because I couldn't move, because I had to make things just perfect before I could move on. So then the default is like, you don't get things done. You don't move in the direction you want to, because it's like you can't let go of that perfectionism. And it's like, gosh, nothing keeps you from moving forward than like that fear of failure, which is what perfectionism can be seen as, that fear of failure. But just change it around. Whether I fail or succeed, every moment is a growth opportunity. So it lightens up that intensity of like, I failed. Oh no, I'm terrible. I messed up. I can't do this. Instead, it's like, oh, that happened. Well, this is an amazing growth opportunity for me. What can I learn from that? And then keep moving forward that way, because whether you, quote, succeed or fail, it's a growth opportunity. Of course, if things go how you want them to, then easy to see that you learn something, but you learn also just as much, if not more so, if you have a failure, then you can look at it. It sort of gets ingrained in your mind if you can widen your perspective and look at how you can grow from it. So, yeah, don't let perfectionism weigh you down in that fear of failure. Number 11, I'm so worried about so many things. It's like the if onlys. I'm so worried about my kids. I'm so worried about my health. I'm so worried about the finances. This is when you can just take a nice big sigh and back up and see, oh, thank goodness there's some sort of higher power that is taking care of everything and is helping you through this, because it's not all up to you to control and make it just how you want it to be. So if you can't do anything about it, why worry? If you can do something about it, why worry? So you can make decisions that way, and to just sigh and let things release into that big trust that the universe is taking care of you. There's something bigger than you that is taking care of things, and that can really help to back things up. And this takes also a lot of courage to sink yourself into that, to sink all your trust into that somehow things will work out for you. And it may not look like how you wanted it to be or envisioned it to be, but somehow things are taken care of. And it's hard, but I mean, you always ask for that guidance too, and that can help you. And that trust, just sinking into the trust, can help lighten things up where it feels less intense. So it's like you can get a bit more of a layout of the land. Oh, and one other thing I want to talk about is it doesn't mean that if that things are taken care of for you, it doesn't mean you're sitting on the couch and waiting for things to like drop out of the sky for you. Say you're looking for a job. It doesn't mean it could happen this way, but it doesn't mean you're just sitting there eating chips and watching TV and waiting for the phone to ring or something come through email that somebody offers you a job out of nowhere. You might have to get up and trust that the universe is helping you, but also to take steps to help yourself. The more you help yourself, the more you're aligned with that universe in helping you, and you can work together. So yeah, that's the conscious choice of it. So maybe it means like looking at job posts, or maybe it means, you know, creating the job for yourself. Whatever it is, you can take it in so many different directions like that. And I think I mentioned this before, but the person on the roof in a flood and waiting for and saying that I'm not worried because God will save me. And then the flood gets higher and higher, and a boat passes by and he says, no, thanks, because I will be saved. And then God will save me. And then a helicopter passes by and says, that's fine, I'll be saved. And something else passes by and it declines all of them and says, God will save me. And then he dies, and then he asks God, like, what happened? And it's like, well, I sent you all this help, but you never took it. So help yourself, and the universe will help you too. So that's all I got for you today. If you get a chance, please like and subscribe and comment, get in touch with me. You can follow me on Instagram at All Worlds Health, on my website, allworldshealth.com, and on Facebook, All Worlds Health and Pediatrics. So I hope to hear from you, and I always love to know what people think and what you want me to talk about, because I'm happy to incorporate that into one of my live streams. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Lots of love to you, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.